I matter. I'm enough. I'm lovable.
I matter. I'm enough. I'm lovable.
My grandmother said to me all the time, men will not marry successful women. And that was true for her generation, but it wasn't true for me.
To be good at something also requires commitment. But then if you're dealing with struggles, trauma, OCD, any kind of struggle, how can you really stick to what you love?
Well, OCD, trying to control out there, is because you can't control the feelings in here. Trauma, it's a word that's used a lot, but trauma means my pain is in my body. Can I get it out? Anxiety, stress, depression, they're often because we're living a life where we're unfulfilled. So go back and fix the cause of your issue. Not, I'm anxious, but what is it that makes me anxious? It's your thoughts. Your thoughts create your feelings, which creates your behavior. No child has got, I'm anxious. People are coming to visit me. I'm anxious. It's my first birthday. People are going to look at me. We learn this. So if you can go back and fix that first, then you can say, okay, I fixed the cause of my issues, and now I can focus on being the very best version of me. You can't be the best version of someone else. If you want to be unhappy, here's the way to guarantee unhappiness. Try to be perfect. You'll be guaranteed to be unhappy, dissatisfied, and lonely. But here's the opposite of trying to be perfect. Being flawsome, saying, I'm a flawed person, having flawed relationships with flawed people. And it's a very forgiving place to be. I'm flawsome because I'm flawed and I have flawed relationships with flawed people, and it feels good. But trying to be perfect, that feels so terrible. Here's the finishing line to perfection. As you go to it, it moves again and
so
again.
So much pressure.
There's no terminal called perfection. Even happiness, there is no destination called happiness. Happiness is the journey, not the destination. But the pressure is our pressure. You see, when you came off social media, when you said, I'm not looking at magazines, I'm not looking at these fashion things, I'm not going to look at that, I'm not going to watch this show where everyone is perfect, then you're switching off the pressure. When you say, my kid is acting age appropriate, this is what they do, you've turned down the pressure. My house is a mess, but hey, I've got a happy children in here. They don't remember a tidy house, they remember a stressed mother. And in fact, studies now show that one of the things that makes a child happy is a happy mother. So if you cannot stress about the mess, the dishes in the sink, the peanut butter smears on the fridge door, and say, hey, if I can just live in the moment, because that's all we have, the moment. The past is gone. We've got to enjoy the moment. It never comes again. And often we're so busy. I remember my daughter's first birthday party, I forgot to take a single picture because I was enjoying it. I had to restage it the next day. But I would say, I was so busy trying to be perfect, and it just went by in a blink of an eye. And my kids aren't happy. They remember how stressed I was rather than my mum was happy. We've got to realize that life goes by quickly. You're a human being, not a human doing. Just try to be in the mess, be in the chaos. I've got cats. They scratch around. I've got kids. They make a mess. I've got a partner who's messy. And before it upsets you, close your eyes and imagine your life imagine a perfect house where no one makes a mess. Because many women say, I'm a widow now. I'm old. Nobody makes a mess. The house is perfect. And I'd give anything to go back to it being messy, because perfection is a lonely place to be.
Indeed. And it's so nicely said by you that we're human beings, not human doings. Yeah. Marisa, going back to anxiety and emotions, I used to use anxiety as my fallback pillow, and then I know how to deal with it and whatnot. And then recently I realized not everything is anxiety. There's a whole wheel of emotions, and understanding these emotions may even lessen the effect or the severity of my so-called anxiety. Maybe it's not anxiety. Maybe I'm just overwhelmed, or maybe I'm just actually just slightly scared or nervous. And it's normal to feel this way. It's completely normal to understand our emotions, and understanding the emotions has helped me better understand myself and better deal with my children also.
Of course.
So if a mom understands her emotions, she will be able to, like you said, if the mom is happy, the children will always remember that. Her spouse or husband, partner will always remember that as well, because she will radiate that in her environment and wherever she goes. But what about friends? What about family members? Sometimes, especially in the Arab world and our culture, we're very bonded by family.
Of course.
So there's no escape sometimes from the pressure or the triggers or the comparison. Comparison plays a big role when you're constantly seeing your friends and family on a weekly basis, and it's part of your schedule.
Yeah. You know, one of the things we teach in our TT, which makes it so powerful, is this: the way you feel about everything. And I do mean everything comes down to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. So you're going to a family dinner every week, and you know that your family are critical, or they're judgy, or they do that weird tutting, or they still treat you as if you're 8 and go, you're the messy one, you're the mean one, you're the difficult one. You can't change anyone else's pictures, but you can change yours. So if you say family dinners make me anxious, you can change that to, you know, it's just a family dinner. The only person in the world who has the power to reject you is you. So my family would do this, and oh, you're always late, or you're the one that always does this. And I'd have to just say, I don't have to let that in. They can do whatever they're going to do. But here's something that will change your life. Are you going to let it in? Can you let that go over your head? Or are you going to let it in? Because we can't change anyone except us. So, you know, you may have a grandparents and uncles and aunts, and they're very set in their ways, of course. And they'll say things like, well, you're not going to find a husband once you're 35. My grandmother said to me all the time, men will not marry successful women. And that was true for her generation, but it wasn't true for me. So when they say things, you have to ask yourself a question. Is this true? Even if it's true, is it going to be true for me? Can I make it not true for me? Men do marry successful women. You can find love in your 50s now. When I got married, and I was 50, and I went to get my wedding dress, they were telling me that the highest rate of brides was women in their 20s and 50s. Women are now having babies at 47. Wow. It's become a normal thing. The highest rate of the rate of women having babies in their 40s is tripling time and time again. So when your tribes say, oh, well, you know, you're always the dramatic one, or you're always that one, stop and go, is this true? Can I make it not true? Do I need to tell them, or can I just say in my heart it's not true for me? Because nothing has to be true for you. Even if it's true for somebody else, it doesn't have to be your truth. Don't argue with those people. You know, let them do their thing. It's like, you know, when I was growing up, I heard this thing a lot. It's lonely at the top. It's not lonely at the top. I went to Richard Branson's island. He's the least lonely person I've ever met in my life, surrounded by friends. Very good at sharing his wealth. He's not lonely at the top. Once you have money, you never know who your friends are. Well, who said that? Is that true? It might have been true for them, but I know many millionaires who've got lots of friends. I know many people who are not millionaires who are very lonely. So we have to listen to this conditioning. Men don't like successful women. Once you have money, you never know who your friends are. A fool and his money are easily parted. If you're a man and you have money, you're going to just find gold diggers, blah, blah, blah. Once you're past 35, you're not attractive anymore. You're past your sell-by date. You see, if you question a belief, you don't believe it anymore. When you question it, my little girl used to say, Mummy, how does Father Christmas get down the chimney? Because he's that big and the chimney is that big. I realized
valid point.
Questioning it. When they question it, they don't believe it. So when we're deeply religious, we don't question a belief, which is a wonderful thing. But if you question a belief, why do I believe that? Does it benefit me to believe? Is there any useful thing for me believing that I've lost my value because I'm 35? Is there any point in believing that everything falls apart when you're 60, that your school days are the best days of your life? Is there any point in believing that? Does it give you anything? If not, don't believe it, because here's the thing. Thoughts are things. Every thought you think creates a physical reaction in your body and an emotional response. If you stop thinking a thought, where's it gone? Well, it's no longer there. So stop thinking these thoughts. Old age comes to get you. You're of no value when you're old. You've lost your beauty power. Women especially are taught terrible things. You're nothing if you're not attractive. If you manage to snare a husband and he'll leave you. Once you have children, you've lost your looks. We hear all this nonsense that men don't have to hear. Men don't go on the TV and go, I love your shirt. Yes. Oh, your makeup was so nice. People listen to them. But we're still judging what we look like, what we're wearing.
The outside.
That we have an expression, the hand that rocks the cradle, which means that it's a mother's job to raise great kids. And if she doesn't, it's her fault, not the father's fault. But we have to stop all of that. It's our job to shine a light on that, especially as women, and say, this is ridiculous. We have to realize that the glass ceiling can be smashed and shattered and powered through, because women are doing so much good in the world now.
And shattering all these beliefs really hold us back worldwide. And like you said, it's not specific to a specific culture or region. And it all falls back to having faith. And I think us as Muslims, our faith in Allah is always renewed daily in our prayers.
And that's a wonderful thing, faith.
Yes, and faith really does eliminate the negative thoughts and the hows and the whys and the disbelief in whatever form or way you decide to have faith.
And I've seen something in my practice. I've been a therapist for 4 decades, which is extraordinary. If one person has faith in you, if one person believes in you, you'll be okay. So as a child, if you have a grandmother, a school teacher, somebody, it doesn't have to be your parents, who believes in you and has faith in you, you'll do better than someone that doesn't. And as women, we have to say, okay. Often a woman will say, say I'm a boss of a company. I might say to an employee, I see something amazing in you. You've really got a gift, a talent. You handled that team so well. You dealt with that customer so well. So we have to be that one person for women coming up below us. And we have to be that one person for a child. It doesn't have to be our child. And at the same time, make sure we've got a one person who's doing it for us. So be that one person who has faith in someone, and find one person to have faith in you. And maybe it's going to be you. I see this, again, this is a big part of our TT, what I call the missing bit. The words I've never heard. I was never told I was great or amazing. And I'm still waiting for someone to do it. But don't give that agency to someone else. Do it yourself. So having faith means, what would I love to hear? You're smart, you're amazing, so lucky to have you. And start saying it yourself. I'm smart. I matter. I have a gift to share with the world. I'm here for a reason. Even if my parents said I was a mistake, I'm here for a reason. So that faith, the faith in yourself, your faith in Allah, your faith in a higher power, your faith in a purpose, faith makes us feel safe. And everything we do is to feel safe. The reason we try to control our kids, you must be in at 8, and who are you going out with? You must control our partners, is because we believe if I am in control, I'm safe. But faith also says I'm safe because I believe in a higher power. I believe in life after death. I believe in goodness. So look at faith in your life and have faith in yourself. Believe in yourself. If you can massively raise your sense of self-worth and self-value and self-image, the world will join you up here at this elevated level. Sadly, if you keep diminishing it, they join you down here. And many of our RTT therapists are doing the most simple thing. They're having someone believe in themselves. We have children in school every day say, I matter, I'm enough, I'm lovable, it's safe to be me. And just saying those 4 statements has the most profound impact. And it's never too late to yourself to say, I matter, I'm lovable, I'm enough, I'm safe, I'm significant. And particularly when you're in the shower, and the water's coming down. It's quite meditative. That's the time to do it. What else you can do in the shower? So I love the smell of this soap, or this conditioner smells nice. If you can link a behavior to a statement, every time you're in the shower, just say, I matter, I'm enough, I'm lovable.
I matter, I'm enough, I'm lovable.
I'm significant.
I'm significant.
And it's safe to be me.
And it's safe to be
you
me.
You can add other things. Yeah. I'm a genius at IT. I'm the smartest coach. I'm the most incredible
we're
parent.
basically showing ourselves the love we want to show others. So instead of waiting for someone to show me or tell me these things, I say them to myself.
Because when you wait, you're needy. You're waiting for your happiness is linked to someone else affirming who you are. When you do it yourself, because your mind doesn't know or care, where do these words come from? And there is nothing that will raise your self-esteem like self-praise. So, if I have dry skin and I put balm on it, my brain doesn't go, hang on a minute, is that balm organic or is it full of toxins? Whatever it is, it will go in. But words are balm. And again, they can be toxic and they go in, but they can be organic and go in. So don't give the power to raise your sense of self-worth to anyone else. I'm waiting for my dad to say he's glad he had me. I'm waiting for someone to say I'm good. Do it yourself.
And words are the strongest tool we have because our subconscious cannot distinguish between what's real and what's not, between the negative and the positive.
Yeah, the mind doesn't know, is this real? Or is it just, am I watching it on television? That's why you get terrified and watch a scary movie. The mind doesn't know, am I imagining this or experiencing it? So when you say, I matter, I'm enough, I've got a unique skill set, I'm lovable, I'm a wonderful person, the mind doesn't go, well, where's that coming from? It will go in just like the balm on dry skin. An expression I love says, words are magic. That's why it's called spelling.
Yes. And the mind cannot distinguish between I can't do this or I can do this. It will just take the I can't.
Whether you say you can or you can't, you're going to be right. Whether you say, I'm anxious or I'm excited, you're right. Whether you say, I'm terrified or I'm excited, you're right. The mind doesn't know. And here's the thing. Your mind's job is to make your thoughts real. That's why you think a sad thought, your eyes fill up with tears. Think of embarrassment, you go bright red. Think of food, your stomach rumbles. So every day your mind is making your thoughts real because that's its job. But your job is to think better thoughts because your mind has no power. You have the power to go, well, that's not a very useful thought. I just thought, oh, I'm an idiot. I got rockstar brains. I know I'm going to mess up this presentation. I know I'm going to get it wrong. And you did. But you could have said, I'm smart. I've got something to say. I've practiced and this presentation is going to be good because I'm ready. And either way, you're going to be correct.
And once you're able to handle your mind in the correct manner, you'll be able to understand yourself better. You'll be able to dig deeper with yourself to find your purpose, like you said, and at the same time be able to distinguish between what's real and what's not, and move forward from there with a desire, a desire to fulfill this purpose.
Yeah. And we can make anything real. We can make fear real. We can make excitement real. We can make doubt real. We can make certainty real. Most doctors now today will tell you that up to 80% of people turning up at hospital or the doctors have real illnesses. They're real, but they're not caused by diseased organs. They're caused by diseased thinking. I have real migraines because I feel I'm inadequate at work. I have real stomachache because I'm anxious about getting that presentation wrong. I have real skin breakouts because I'm living in a state of tension. So isn't that interesting that it's a diseased thought more than a diseased organ? But that's great news. I can change a diseased thought like that. I'm not enough. I don't matter. I'm going to mess it up. A diseased organ requires antibiotics and a lot of care. But we can change. When you change your thinking, you change your entire life. When you are responsible for your thoughts and you make them positive, you change everything because the word responsibility means an ability to respond. If you're responsible, you're able to respond better to how you talk to yourself. We talk to ourselves all the time. Do it better and you'll have a completely different life.
And you'll be able to control how you do it because you're aware of what you're doing rather than just taking it as it comes.
Yeah, and that very word control.
Yeah.
I can't control the weather. I can't really control my body, because if I could, I'd never get sick or even tired. I certainly can't control the traffic, but I can control how I feel about the weather, the traffic, and my body. Again, I can't control what's behind me because it's gone, but I can control what's in front of me by controlling the thoughts inside me. And if we all did that, we'd all have such a nice life. Bullying wouldn't exist. We'd get on better. We'd all be responsible for our own happiness, and life would be much kinder for everybody.
But with illness, I want to go back to the point where you said we can manage our illnesses because everything is, the disease starts with mind disease first. But then you see a lot of people arguing with this point where it's not real for them.
Yeah.
How can we explain that even for patients that are dealing with illnesses like cancer, wellness and their well-being comes first, and then you see the progress, and you see a number of cases and patients that recover and then continue their life normally or as normal as they can, because they manage to alter their mindset and shift their paradigm from illness to wellness.
Well, the placebo, people say, oh, that's just a placebo. That's just a placebo effect. The placebo effect means your body is making itself better all on its own because of a thought. Oh, these are magic pills. This is some amazing thing. I went to this healing place like Lourdes and I got healed. So the placebo says what you think of a drug will affect you more than what's in the drug. So the placebo is getting stronger every year. Drug companies are fighting to keep up with the power of what we believe. And so, of course, there are people who get cancer, and we're not going to say, well, you made yourself ill. That's a terrible, you gave yourself cancer. It's all in your head. You can think yourself better, because complementary medicine means I got cancer. That was a horrible thing. And I use medicine, but I also use my thought process. Like, I'm going to heal faster. You know, one of my clients told me that when she had cancer, she was told, well, there's a 25% chance of you surviving this. You only have a 1 in 4 chance. She goes, well, I'll be in that 1 in 4 then. I'm the 1 in 4, because while it is the doctor's job, of course, and doctors are great people to operate on you and remove any cancerous tissue, it's your job to say, I'm now eating better. I'm not having lots of sugar. I'm not sleeping with my phone under my pillow. I'm relaxing. When I'm stressed, I'm making cortisol, and cortisol creates inflammation, the precursor for almost every illness. So again, it's how can I be responsible? I got an illness, but can I help myself? Can I look at my diet? Can I look at my lifestyle? Can I look at what I could do? Just that thing called box breathing takes all the cortisol out of your body. Sugar creates inflammation. You don't have to give it up, but you can minimize it. Not living in a world where you've got your phone by the bed and the lights on and you've got too much going on. Being in nature, just getting out there and taking a walk every day. So there are a lot of things we can do. So we're not saying, well, you've created the illness, it's all in your head, and now you're stuck. We're saying whatever illness you have, you still have immense power to heal yourself alongside medicine, not instead of it. You can do both. I've had cancer twice, and while I wouldn't wish that on anybody, I felt very lucky because I sailed through it. And of course, I used a doctor to take out the cancerous organ, but I used myself. I was back at work within 3 weeks. I felt absolutely fine. I didn't live in fear because I realized that while this has happened to me, I have a lot of power about what I'm going to do about it.
It's so beautiful, and it's so beautiful that you spoke about it so openly, and it takes me back to a point when I remember some people, when they're ill, they become desperate.
Yeah.
And with desperation, people tend to go to quick fixes.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of trends that are quick fixes. So how can one stop themselves into falling into this trap?
And of course, I think when you suddenly get a diagnosis like cancer, you panic. Oh my God, this is the terror time. This is really scary, which it is. But after a few days, when you have time to come to those, you think, okay, what can I do? What is out there? But again, you need to research. You don't want to just fall for anything. Look at, there's a great magazine called Icon that you can buy, and it talks about all the things. There's some great books now on what you can do. And it's not about taking some weird thing. It's about, okay, we know that computers and phones emit electromagnetic frequencies, and you should have that 7 foot away from you. So we know that. We know that a lot of products are full of parabens, but you can go into Sephora and say, can you show me which shampoo, which cream doesn't have parabens, which is the organic one? I know that if I live on Pringles and Coca-Cola and donuts, I'm filling my body up with toxins. Can I just drink clean water? You see, the simplest things are get enough sleep, go to bed before midnight as often as you can. Don't have all those electric things in your bedroom. Get enough sleep, drink a lot of water, put some green stuff in your body, even if you want a burger and fries, think, I really should have fish and vegetables, and move. This is not hard work. Exercise, water, enough sleep, and eat better as much as you possibly. It doesn't mean you can never have a cake, but these things are not difficult. They're simple. But we've got we now eat on the run. We stay up all night watching Netflix. We don't get enough sleep. We have to be responsible. So when I had cancer, my first thought was, what can I do? And get rid of all the parabens, stop eating sugar, relax a lot, and always think this thought, is this creating tension? Is this making cortisol? If so, let me try and move away from it. We can't live in a world without stress, but we can counteract it. So again, going to bed early, getting enough sleep, and sleep in the pitch black. If you can wear a sleep mask, your body resets itself in the pitch black. But we sleep with the lights on, with the curtains open, with noise going on. So simple things. This is not costing you any money. Sleep with a sleep mask. Drink more water, but just sleeping in the pitch black will change your entire life, because even your metabolic system resets when you sleep in the dark. And we know, I feel better now, I've had a good night's sleep. So if you know you've got to be up at 7, go to bed at 10 o'clock. If you know you've got to go up at 6, go to bed at 9 o'clock. Don't go to bed at 1 o'clock and get up at 5 and then wonder why you're stressed.
Yeah. Simple changes on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, tell yourself, I'm enough. I like myself. I'm enough. I matter. I'm significant. All the peptides in the world are not going to work. All the expensive face creams will not work if you're starting from self-doubt, dissatisfaction, and not liking yourself. When you feel happy, it shows in your face. And when you don't, it also does.
So to wrap everything we've just discussed in today's episode of The Formula, I always actually ask my guests to give us their formula to a specific topic or the topic we've discussed. So I'd like to know Marisa's formula for a holistic transformation.
I would say, without question, put I'm enough in your life. You might notice these bracelets I'm wearing. So I'm enough.
Yes.
They're a bit old now. I have I'm enough all over on my mirrors, on my cushions, printed on pillows. I might stamp it on my underwear, on my T-shirt. I have a little face mirror in my bag. So I find everywhere to put I'm enough into my life. And for your audience here, I'd recommend make it into a password, obviously secure. Maybe it was, I'm lovable, I'm enough, I matter. And you have to type that out to open your phone every day and open your laptop. You're making it a process where the mind is learning by repetition. What you present to your mind is going to present right back to you. So put I'm enough all over your house.
And you have the I'm enough bracelets also available for sale.
On our website, marisapeer.com. We have bracelets, we have affirmation cards, we have sleep masks that say I'm enough. Because you really want to saturate yourself with I'm enough. You see, your brain can't drive in 2 lanes. I'm enough, but I'm not enough. I matter, but I don't really. I'm significant, but I'm not.
That's a double binding standard.
You can't drive in 2 lanes. So when you get into the lane of I'm enough and I matter and I'm significant, you can't be in the other lane of I'm not. So one of the ways to make it part of who you are, so that you state it, affirm it, embody it, is to put it all over your house. Put it on your kids' lunch boxes, ice it onto cake, stamp it onto cookies, write it in sand. There's so many ways you can put I'm enough in your life. And of course, RRTT therapists do that with schools. I was in school recently, they painted it in massive letters on the playground. We are enough. So it's your job to put it into your life. And if you're a parent, put it into your child's life by putting it into your passwords. So my message would be, make sure you're embracing enoughness for you and the people around you and go, you're enough, you're enough, you're enough. You'd never say to an, oh, that guy didn't like you because, well, you're not enough. And you've got cellulite. You go, darling, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He doesn't love you. There's something wrong with him, but he's let you go for someone who will. So tell yourself you're enough and live in a state of gratitude. I'm so grateful I'm getting older, so grateful I've got these kids. Wake up in the morning and say, I love my life. It's such a good way to start the day.
Marisa, I'm so grateful to have you today as my guest and in this episode of the Formula Talks. And I'm enough. Thank you for reminding us all of how enough we are. I definitely didn't have enough time with you, but thank you nonetheless.
Oh, thank you. I had a lovely time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And by the way, if you go to marisapeer.com, we do have a lot of free audios on love blocks, wealth blocks, success blocks, even health blocks. So marisapeer.com, you can take as many free audios as you want for you and for the people in your life.
Thank you so much for helping people better transform their lives daily.
Thank you so much. Thank you.